sports fans? Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back for our 28th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite sports, including NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. We've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest new European slots, and our live dealers are waiting for you at the table. Sign up at BetUS.com today to get into the action. BetUS, where the
And now, broadcasting live from Las Vegas, the Snake Sports Talk Show with Jake Silva starts now.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. We are live. And, man, it is so good to finally recoup from the NFL draft. This is the Snake Sports Talk Show, wherever and however you may be watching and listening. Thanks for making us part of your evening here on the show. We're live on all platforms, Roku, iHeartRadio, and all social media platforms known to man, where you can like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell button, keep you up to date on future and past shows. To our TikTok followers, we've actually hit a goal today. We had 1,300 followers here on a Monday, and I was super stoked. So a lot of our fan bases, they continue to be loyal, faithful, and always supportive all throughout the show. So I thank all of you guys. But, man, we got a lot to talk about. So I'll start off with this because the NFL draft, and like I told everybody when it came to this, this is the most roster constructed draft I think we've ever had to come across. Lots of players were taken, and then there was also some talented players who went undrafted. But I think at the end of the day, there were a bunch of teams when I look at their draft grades and I look at exactly some of their needs and wants, and then not to mention how they would have constructed all their rosters. I love what they did. And there's only about a few teams that I question about, and I'll get to that in a minute. But the teams that constructed their rosters very well are the teams that you're going to see potentially become playoff teams, or they'll be much better than what their record gave last year. There's such a thing as the most improved team. And in my opinion, I've always had teams that were basically the best worst team last year who are going to be even better this upcoming season. So there's a lot to look forward to this year. But there are some teams that were sneaky good with some of their picks. They definitely gotten some draft steals. So teams like this is what continuously proves my point here. The New England Patriots, like I said on my show, I have them predicted to be a playoff team. I have them predicted to be a wild card team. And the only reason of that is because look at exactly some of the wants and needs that New England got. And that's because Mike Vrabel knows how to build in the trenches. You got a running back who I really like in Travion Henderson. You got Will Campbell as your first-round pick, which you gave Drake May a blindsided protector. You also gave him a very good run. You've also got a very good defender on the run. So to me, I think Will Campbell is everything that you wanted to be. And this is exactly what the Chargers ended up doing when they got Rashawn Slater. You got to protect Justin Herbert's blind side. You've also got to protect Drake May. He's your franchise quarterback. So when New England put the entirety of their roster together, it seemed about right. This is what Mike Vrabel does. This is what he did in Tennessee, and he's going to do again in New England, and they will be much better improved. And I think when you get a veteran coach who knows exactly how to construct a roster, you will see the difference from there. New England I have as a playoff team. Another team in particular, the Cleveland Browns. I mean, I'll get to Shedeur Sanders here after the break, but the thing about it is they got to steal from the trade away from Jacksonville, who traded up to go and get Travis Hunter. He's a very good, prolific, and pivotal piece to their offense. And I see him more based on the wide receiver. Okay, that's exactly where I see with Travis Hunter. But at the same time, Cleveland got Mason Graham. You needed to stuff up the run. They got Quinshon Judkins, and they also got Dylan Sampson. They got a mixture of elusiveness, power, and speed. It's running back by committee. You cannot go wrong with it. This is what we learned about a lot of teams in the NFL last year, is because when you put together a roster construction like this, where you've got a front seven that's unstoppable, like Philly, they've also got a very good run room that can be elusive, speedsters, and power backs. That's pivotal and important. I remember when I watched the New York Giants, when they used to have Brandon Jacobs, Derek Ward, and Ahmad Bradshaw, it was earth, wind, and fire. That's what you remembered. And so, to me, I feel like it's making a comeback. Not to mention, look at the quality of linebackers. And once again, Philadelphia hit it out the ballpark by going and getting Jihad Campbell, because he could basically play both the linebacker position, who you've already signed Zach Bond on, and then you also have a couple of other ones that are also really good, like Nakobe Dean and Nolan Smith. And at the same time, you got an edge rusher on the outside. You could utilize Jihad Campbell in two different spots. That's what makes Howie Roseman really, really smart at a lot of these picks. So to me, I think a lot of teams really nailed it out of the ballpark. So I really, really like what they've done in this draft. But there are several teams that I've loved their drafts. So I want to talk about some of the ones that I had a problem with their draft construction, and that was San Francisco, Pittsburgh, in my opinion, and Jacksonville a little bit that I'm questionable about. Because the thing about it is, I know Jacksonville needs to get better. I know Jacksonville wants to be dynamic on offense, because that's why they hired Liam Cohen. They hired Liam Cohen to fix up Trevor Lawrence. They needed to get him some weapons. They needed to get him some help. But at the same time, you trading up to go and getting Travis Hunter, who you're going to utilize more of a receiver than corner, even though that he keeps preaching, I want to play both sides. I want to play corner as well. The money market is better on the wide receivers than it is on the corners. And you'll notice that in a heartbeat. Okay, so to me, is he the be-all, end-all? Is he the answer to all your problems? That's what we're going to wait to find out. I love Brian Thomas Jr., and you get Travis Hunter there on the other side, pair him up. Trevor Lawrence has another weapon there on the outsides. It could work. It could, but trading away a first-round pick for next year to Cleveland, who now has 2 first-round picks next year, what are you doing? To me, you're a brand new coaching staff. So, and you're already feeling confident about that. This is why multiple teams that end up in the top 10 in draft orders always end up in the top 10 in draft orders again the next year. That's why they do this. I am not trying to bag or talk brash about the Jacksonville Jaguars, but this is why you constantly are in the top 10, is because of moves like this. So at the end of the day, let's just hope, cross your fingers, Jacksonville, that this actually pans out for you. Because, I mean, you got Houston, who's got a powerful defense under DeMeco Ryans. You got the Colts, who they're hoping everything clicks. And then you've also got the Tennessee Titans, who got a number 1 overall draft pick quarterback. And they've also got him some weapons and help. So who knows? And look, San Francisco, I thought they did very well when it came to drafting defensive players. But what really made me look sideways is what happened after. And that's the part that I'm a little bit questionable about San Francisco. And you're going to want to pay Brock Purdy $50+ million. I wouldn't. And this is why San Francisco, they didn't like the comment that I made when it came to why not just take a gamble on Shedeur Sanders. He fell in the 5th round. So what are you doing? This is one of the parts that, like, most of those teams, and then not to mention Pittsburgh, you're taking a gamble at Will Howard. I'm not speaking ill will on Will Howard whatsoever, but why are you constantly trying to find another Big Ben? Why? You got a defensive lineman. You got an edge rusher in Jack Sawyer, who I really like, but Pittsburgh, once again, proud organization, loves their defense. They're not pulling away from it again and again and again, and they're constantly paying their money on defense. and they're having to pay potentially TJ Watt for what? To be mediocre on offense again after all these years when you had the killer bees in Big Ben, Antonio Brown, and Le'Veon Bell. Since then, the offense has been disaster. So what is it that Pittsburgh is honestly going to do with this? And I've said this before, and I'll say it again, because Mike Tomlin, he's not creative on offense. He's more of a defensive first, raw type of motivator. He's just like my personal trainer in my local gym. That's what Mike Tomlin is. Okay? I hate to burst a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers fans' bubbles, but it's true. And you wonder why Cleveland, and a lot of people are looking at Cleveland sideways today, but I'm not. Because there's a part of me that I think Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski are very smart. They're just guilty by association because of Jimmy Haslam. But then when you look at Baltimore, they got a steal in Mike Green, and they get a couple of other really good players I like. They got Malachi Starks in the safety. And I got Joe Burrow getting another running back. And then not to mention, you give him at least an edge rusher and you give him more help. Like, I'm just saying, I think realistically, when you look at this is why Pittsburgh, I've said it before, I think they missed the playoffs. They missed the playoffs by one game. And it's only because you're sold so heavily up on your defense, which, yes, you need defense to hold the points up, but you also still have to score points in order to keep it in a close battle. But you can't even do that either. So there's so many question marks, but then there's also so many clear results on some of these teams. Like, I felt like the Arizona Cardinals have had a great draft. I felt like the Raiders really reconstructed their roster. I mean, Ashton Ginty giving you majority of those snaps on the backfield. I think it's very impressive. So you are going to see a lot of those teams with smart coaches, smart schemes, and at the same time, they've got fits. They've got a lot of fits, whether it's players that were drafted or players that they signed after the draft, the undrafted free agents. It's all because of scheme fits. Get to know it and learn about it. Because a lot of people on the outside who think that like Cleveland doesn't develop quarterbacks well, at least Cleveland, they're taking shots at several other quarterbacks to see if they got the right ones. So I am not opposed to Cleveland putting out this idea. I am not. So if anything else, I like their situation. I like their situation better than Pittsburgh. I like their situation better than San Francisco's. And I also kind of like a little of their situation better than Jacksonville. Seriously do. I don't know what to make of this, but once again, over and over and over again, we're reminded so much that just Pittsburgh is never going to pivot away from defense. They never are. They're never going to pivot away from defense. And this is why I think with the way that this is going to go, it seems to me like Aaron Rodgers is going to be the signing. But I don't think that that's honestly going to be your be-all, end-all problem solver at the end of the day. Good stuff. But yeah, I'm so happy that I'm on here today and I'll be on tomorrow because right after the break, I have to address this Shedeur Sanders stuff because, again, as America's honesty mind, I cannot lie to my fans. I cannot lie to my viewers and listeners because at the end of the day, I will be blunt and as completely honest as much as I possibly can because there are some folks on the outside that think that there's some sort of agenda involved, and I'm going to literally throw the mic down on what I'm about to say here on Shedeur Sanders right after the break, and also plus talking a little bit more about the NBA playoffs because honestly, I think after I watched that series between the T-Wolves and the Lakers, I think the Lakers are done. I think the Lakers are honestly cooked. It may be Lakers going home in 5, and I'll tell you why here right after the break. Well, folks, like I said, because it has on fire for both hockey and for the NBA, The draft, however, I'm sure a lot of people have won big on these prop bets during the NFL draft as far as draft picks and so on and so forth. But man, BetUS has been cooking. And BetUS is continuing to cook all postseason long and before we get into the NFL season around the corner. But definitely check out BetUS for the time being to get yourselves ahead of the game. BetUS, with their award-winning sportsbook for over 30 years, and then not to mention their fun fantasy play that they also have. Definitely choose your prop bets and picks and get you into the action, because especially too with the postseason going on for hockey and for basketball, Major League Baseball play is in full swing. Man, there's so much to utilize with BetUS, and then not to mention casino play is also another fun one. Slots, tables, whatever to your liking. Check out BetUS today at BetUS.com. Also, when you sign up, you get your very own account manager to get you the best experience of what BetUS has to offer for you. That's BetUS.com. BetUS.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or seek therapy in your respective state wherever you're eligible to play BetUS today, because BetUS doesn't want you to gamble irresponsibly when you utilize their system. Go online to BetUS.com and let them know Jake the Snake sent you here on the Snake Sports Talk Show. BetUS, where the game begins.
Want to find your seat for the event of your choice but can't get one that fits your desire or your budget? Well, my friends, SeatGeek has you covered. SeatGeek is the official sponsor of the Snake Sports Talk Show. With a list of over hundreds of events to choose from, SeatGeek will assure you that you won't miss your seat with the amazing view of your choice at the most affordable price. Whether it's looking for your best seat in the house of your favorite sports team, finding live concerts that get you closer to your favorite artist, or enjoying your spot at your favorite live shows, comedies, and more, SeatGeek has it all just for you. Go online to SeatGeek.com or download the app on your mobile device through Google Play and the App Store. And as a special offer before checkout, use promo code SNAKESPORTS and save yourself $20 off of your purchase of your first ticket, and experience why SeatGeek is the most trusted ticketing app for your next event. Remember, that's SeatGeek.com and download the app on your phone with promo code SNAKESPORTS for $20 off and find your seat with SeatGeek.
Looking for a show with the best takes and opinions? Want a show with the best coverage around the world of sports? Jam-packed with an all-star interview lineup? Then the best place to find it all, sports and entertainment, is right here. Join Jake Silva on the Snake Sports Talk Show, presented by SeatGeek and BetUS. Weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on Sports Wave Network.
Snake Sports Talk Show is sponsored by Muscle Tech, with hundreds of supplements and vitamins to choose from, all packed with 100% all-natural proven ingredients. You can be sure that Muscle Tech will give you the edge and the boost to train and look like your fit and healthy best, whatever your goals are. Try Muscle Tech today and use promo code SNAKESPORTS to save 30% off your purchases.
So I was really curious about this whole Shedeur Sanders thing. So back here on the Snake Sports Talk Show. So here's the deal. Okay, Shedeur Sanders fell all the way down to the 5th round and got taken by the Cleveland Browns. A lot of people on the outside, I heard every single response. And a lot of them feel like that there's an out for Shedeur. There's this whole agenda, hidden agenda people are basically doing, and all this other stuff. Well, Shedeur Sanders, he's very talented. And then they're like, that's not fair. How is it that Tyler Shugg and also Dylan Gabriel, they went before Shedeur Sanders? Listen, I know a lot of you that are college football fans, okay? Love the tribal stuff. I really do. I am in the same boat as well. When I watch college football, I get nothing but tribal. Like it's traditional. That's always what it's been. But, however, the NFL is a business, and it is. So this whole talk with Shedeur Sanders and why he fell that far is, to me, Shedeur Sanders endured a lot of stuff. He endured a lot. Got prank called, fell down into the draft to where he lost over $40 million, but that doesn't seem to matter to him. Money's really not a problem to him because of the fact that he's getting a lot of the inheritance from his dad, Dion. But this problem of it is, and this is why it was reminded of us all in college football. And this is why college football needed a CEO. They did, because with the NIL, the transfer portal, and everything else, it's completely gotten out of whack. There's no consistency. And the problem of that is because coaching these days has been different than coaching what it was back then. Okay, I felt like the coaching back then was the best way you wanted to get coached. That's the way that's the way you want it. You were shown the ropes. You were shown exactly how to express gratitude, at the same time grind and earn your spots. You got to go through the grind. Okay, that's the way that you earn the roster spot. And if you don't make it, there's other opportunities. Go pursue it and work harder and get better. That's the way that it is. And yet, we're pushing up on this agenda like, oh, everything is just not fair. Well, you know what? Such is life. Life is never fair. Okay? Life is guaranteed to us once, but it's never guaranteed that we'll live a longer life. Okay? You hear about it all in the news every single day. You also hear people who have had upbringings and downfalls. Life tends to be this entire, like, it becomes this whole carousel. You don't know when it's going to end. You don't know when it's going to, you don't know when it's going to stop or when it's going to keep going. So Shedeur Sanders, and I feel for the kid in a multitude of ways. Let me tell you about the pros about Shedeur Sanders. Okay, I have pros and cons. The pro side is that I do feel like he is athletically talented. Okay, let's just start from there. Okay, somebody that had the worst offensive line in college football and who was the most sacked quarterback in college, okay, to maintain a 74% completion percentage is very impressive. Okay, I can understand that. Like, he's very accurate. He can distribute the ball. The other thing is, too, he also has a very refined touch whenever that he the other thing is that when he has that refined touch, he can throw outside over the shoulders. Okay, that's what Shedeur Sanders is capable of. So, and the other thing of it is, too, is that he can be mobile and move around. But here's the cons. Okay, the cons are he holds the ball on for too long. Funny, this is the same thing that we said about Caleb Williams. And hopefully, Ben Johnson could truthfully unlock his potential. Make him not lean so much into the spectacular. He's got, again, help with the pocket awareness, make quicker decisions like this, because the NFL, it literally is played in a snap. I mean, you got to get the ball distributed out quickly and much more efficiently. You have to do it. So he holds the ball on for too long. The other thing of it is that the character, the Sanders whole deal, I understand that with, Dion. Dion tended to be cocky. Okay. Dion was always cocky when he was up and in the league, but it's because the other thing of it is too, is that's part of the motivation. If you don't get it, like I get two sides of this whole thing. If you're cocky and motivating, like you're trying to be, the voice amongst it, like you're trying to pump your guys, like your team up from offensively or defensively, I get that. I get that. Most people will probably perceive it as annoying, or maybe just you sound selfish, but sometimes it does help. We need a little bit of that juice. But then I can also understand the other side where you kind of sound arrogant. Like teams don't even think about, draft picks in the near future. They do. They think about 3 years down the road. Okay? You think that the LA Rams ain't thinking about Puka Nakua's future? Yeah, they are. They've already been starting up the future with Matt Stafford. Okay? When Shedeur Sanders came out with a comment to basically say that, like, they'd be missing out on a game changer, an organization like movement, sometimes that's going to come off pretty arrogant to a lot of teams, and that's the business. I think a lot of that is because you got to give them the sense of direction. So to me, Shedeur Sanders falling into the 5th round is an absolute steal for the Cleveland Browns for a few areas. Why? Because number one, look at the high talented value that was left on the table all the way to the 5th round. That's why. Another thing is you also have Joe Flacco. You could get out of the Deshaun Watson deal if in fact that it becomes voided because of that viral video with his Achilles heel injury. The other thing of it is too, you drafted Dylan Gabriel, who possibly may or may not make the roster. You've got Kenny Pickett, who could probably be a practice squad quarterback, or he could even be the emergency one. And then there's Shedeur Sanders. There is competition all in this field. So if you really think about it, Shedeur Sanders, what this is paving the way for is for him to basically clean up the act and at the same time work for literally everything. That's the way that it is. Because what's being perceived is that they feel a lot like he's a privileged kid because of his dad. It's like if he didn't have the Sanders name on the back of his jersey, nobody would have even paid attention to him. Okay? And I live here in Colorado, and it's only 45 minutes away from where I am to Boulder. Okay? So I could tell you this. Dion did a service with Colorado because he's building a culture there. Okay? And players want to come and play there. So you'll understand that Dion has to worry about his own personal stuff because of him being a coach at Colorado. And then at the same time, Shedeur Sanders has to blaze his own trail in Cleveland, where he could honestly be the most high talented quarterback in this league. And I think that jury's out. It's out there. So maybe there's a chance that he can. But then at the same time, I mean, Shiloh Sanders went undrafted and he goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a contract. So all I'm saying is there is no hidden agenda here. If you are watching First Take every single morning, do yourself a favor and turn the TV off. Do Kendrick Lamar a favor and turn the TV off. Because I get sick and tired of this hidden agenda. And at the same time, we're not even talking about football here. Like, the NFL is a professional business. If you've never been in a professional, corporate, public business, I don't want to hear it. Because here's the deal. You are in the public's eye. Everything you do, everything that you say, and everything that you perceive as far as body language, the public is going to attack you. That's the way that it is. You either are going to be high praise, you're going to be the savior of the organization, you're going to be this hot shot that can literally give us a shot, or they'll literally throw you down the toilet. That's the way that it works. Okay, we live in a caffeinated society where everyone from the tip ends of the polls literally are very fast to judge the cover of the book before they can even read the story. So we got to stop that. We have literally got to stop about this whole hidden agenda crap. I'm serious. I get so tuned out of it because you're not talking about football here. You're not talking about Shedeur Sanders, the football player. You're more fixated on Shedeur Sanders, the person. The person I already understand. Do I think I would want to hire that in my company? It would be a rolling the dice, and that's exactly what Cleveland's doing. But Cleveland has highly talented players around him, which makes it a lot better of his situation to go in, put in the work, and literally make a case. Make a case to be the diamond in the rough here in Cleveland. That's what it is. So I'm sick and tired of this hidden agenda crap. I really am, because listen, I listen to Colin Cowherd every morning. I listen to Fox Sports. I have, since ESPN kind of taken a different turn, and I'm not bashing this company, but ever since they took in a different turn, I can't listen to it, and I can't even watch it anymore. The only time I will watch ESPN is for the games. I don't watch it for the shows. I think a lot of these shows have literally gone all the way to the left, and here I am on this other side of common sense, trying to literally go into the middle as America's honesty mind. I mean, look, you want proof of me being controversial and me just trying to be the balancer and unbiased in a lot of these topics? Just go back to 2020. I had to talk about the George Floyd situation. I had to talk about BLM. I had to talk about all of these things. I never wanted to do it. But because it was thrown out there in sports, because politics in sports, and you already know it's oil and water. I hate it. But this is why I'm blunt. I'm truthfully honest. And as America's honesty mind, I'm here to give you that honesty, because I don't want to lie to any of you. I don't. I want to be truthfully honest with all of you. I understand all of that, from the minority to the vast majority. So to me, I look at Shedeur Sanders as the player here. What are the tangibles and what are the things that he's got to work on? He's got great pocket presence. He can read a defense. He tends to hold the ball on for too long. That's the knock. The other thing of it is, too, I also do think that he can clean up a little of his character, but couldn't everybody? Maybe go to church once in a while. Maybe that's the best thing. If you find God, honestly, it's the best thing that could ever happen to you. If you find a higher power, it doesn't matter what it is, but I hope the best. But trust me, I had to explain a lot of these things. It may be so uncomfortable, but you know what? It's good to be uncomfortable, because that's the part that shows you who you're truthfully made of. So I give that kind of knowledge there to Shedeur Sanders. If you're watching this video right now, I hope the absolute best for you, because I think you would be a hell of a story. If you're able to make it out this way, where you were being prank called, you got literally dipped all the way down to the 5th round, and then at the same time, you have to also remind yourself you are not bigger than the organization, because the organization will turn on you. The public will turn on you. It's like this. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain. And this is not the NBA. The NBA, they love heroes and heels. I mean, it's like watching WWE. Okay? They got baby faces and they got heels. But this is not the WWE. This is the NFL. And the NFL and your career stands for not for long. Just like life, your career is never guaranteed. It never is. Could be injury, could be inconsistency, or just no fair shot. Prove them all wrong. Okay? Hope the absolute best for Shedeur Sanders, but clean the act, get it together, and go learn something, because you got a 2-time Coach of the Year award winner in Kevin Stefanski. And you got a very smart GM named Andrew Berry. Cleveland will be just fine. Stop bashing Cleveland because they're guilty by association because of Jimmy Haslam. I don't want to hear it. I really don't. I think Cleveland is in a better position than what Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, maybe even San Francisco, some of these teams ultimately would be on as well. Time for the news.
This is the Hot Press.
When you start hearing me get passionate, I can't. And this is the thing. Shedeur Sanders, he's not like I'm pulling for him. I'm pulling for him as the player. I'm not really caring a lot about just his person because at the end of the day, I don't know him. I don't know exactly what he does. But when people put out there like Johnny, like he's comparable to Johnny Manziel, how? Did you ever hear any news about Shedeur Sanders being a party animal? No, because that's what Johnny Manziel was. He was a party animal. And if you think about it, if the NIL existed when Johnny Manziel was playing, he would have never have even gotten into the NFL. Never. So, and again, I know that the brand seems to be a bit much, but all I'm looking at is I want to see the player. If you're able to overcome all of the adversities, like if you're able to overcome the adversities, that's the best thing that can happen in your career. So prove them wrong. That's ultimately what you got to do. All right. So on the news side of things, so the the Golden State Warriors, news on Jimmy Butler, because we know that there was an injury that Jimmy Butler ended up suffering from here. But however, he is returning tonight for Game 4 against the Houston Rockets. And so to me, so I think Jimmy Butler, truthfully, Jimmy Butler, he is the Achilles heels when it comes to defense and when it comes to perimeter shots. So thank goodness that Golden State is going to get him back. I think a lot of Warriors fans are happy of that reason. But Jimmy Butler, so what was being talked about is he participated in a light walkthrough at the team shoot-around on Monday morning. The star forward is listed as questionable with a pelvic and deep gluteal muscle contusion injury, but he's been doing everything he can to return, including receiving treatment and working out on the court in the past 24 hours. So he will be expected to make his return here tonight against the Rockets. And so Butler suffered the injury late in the first quarter of Game 2, where he was limited to only 8 minutes, and the Warriors lost the game 109-94. And without him, Steph Curry had 36 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds to lead them to a win. So there's parts of me that, like, when it comes to Golden State, we know age is a factor, but at the same time, to me, my big deal is that because if you lose a veteran piece when it comes to the defensive side of trying to congest the perimeter and all within the inside, that's where it's going to be difficult. But I do think that Golden State, because Houston is young, and I've been saying this before and I'll say it again, Houston needs a very hyper-aggressive scorer. They really need one. Like if you get a Kevin Durant in the free agent market, to me personally, there's your offense. Now you can build upon the defense, and the younger pieces, they will get better and better as they go. Because it's like how we kind of described OKC. So because OKC was young, you had SGA and you had multiple other players that were also building around to where you get Chet Holmgren, who's very, very good on the rebounds and the backstops. And to me personally, I really do think that like Oklahoma City, they are the team to beat in the West because they do everything right. It's a young core. They're only going to get better, and they have a bit of that experience already. So that's the part of it. Crushing blow to the Milwaukee Bucks. So Damian Lillard, he's going to end up having surgery on his torn Achilles tendon. So Damian Lillard, an MRI revealed the severity of the injury, which will end Lillard's season and put his 25-26 season in jeopardy because of the extended recovery time of the injury, as he suffered it last night in the 129-103 loss to the Indiana Pacers. Like the Pacers just broke this game wide open. He tried to keep an offensive rebound alive and went to knock the ball away from a Pacers player before crumbling on the court without contact. So he remained on the ground as the defensive possession occurred on the other end of the floor, grabbing his left foot and sitting with his elbows and knees on his knees, waiting for a stoppage in play. So, yeah, this is a crushing blow for the Milwaukee Bucks. But as the series itself goes on, I think the Milwaukee Bucks are in trouble. They are in absolute trouble. I try to believe as much as I possibly can for Milwaukee, because the series right now between them and the Pacers are leading this series in 3-1. And truthfully, as much as I see this, and I've seen this several times, with a hyper aggressive scoring and speedster type of team, I think the series is over for the Bucks. This is a crushing blow. And look, I love Giannis, but this team right now is literally falling apart. And when you get Dame tearing the Achilles, that's a crushing blow for your guard position. And with what the Bucks are trying to manage and handle, they can't with a Pacers team like that. It's too fast. They hyperly aggressively score, and at the same time, I mean, you got Tyrese Halliburton, and you have a bunch of other youngsters there that are controlling. It's the same thing that they did last year, where they were hyper aggressive. You can't stop the speed, and that was what led to Philadelphia losing that series. I mean, they were just too fast, or what was it? It was one of the series, not Philadelphia, but I think, what was it? The Clippers. I think it was one of the teams last year, but it's what led them to moving on to the series. It's what led them to move on to the series. So I think this might be potentially over for the Milwaukee Bucks, but they need to get this together. They seriously need to get this together. Final news story up from here in the NFL. So Derek Carr, thoughts and prayers to the Carr family, because there has been reports. So Derek Carr confirmed he has a shoulder injury during a guest sermon. But here's the other deal that also really hurt as well. So he was a guest sermon at Church LV in Las Vegas over the weekend. And what ended up happening is that the shoulder injury, when it came to the MRI from the previous season, it's definitely worse than what they thought of. So he had spoken about the shoulder injury, the shoulder, since the news of a potential issue was made public on April 11th, 3 days before the Saints began phase 1 of their voluntary off-season workout program. He went on to say, I have an MRI to prove it, and with that one, the team knows about it. We've been in constant communication. There's nothing wrong. We're figuring it out, and we're going to go forward with that. The other thing is that Carr has not been at the Saints facility since the off-season program began, because he and his wife Heather had planned to fly to New Orleans earlier in the off-season. He said that Heather had been experiencing a health issue and had a miscarriage around the time of their scheduled trip. I say all that that to say, let's be people that don't judge and point out and just think the worst when you don't really know what people are going through. Amen. And so we've been taking care of our family. If it's going to be faith family football, it's going to be faith family football, no matter what the situation is. And so I really do feel for Derek Carr. And I pull out full prayers to the Carr family with the miscarriage. I really do hope the family going through this time, that they find comfort and support through this time. It's really hard. I've experienced it before. It sucks. And at the same time, you're also dealing with the rehab injury, and I really hope that he does come out on the other side with that. All right, so that's going to do it for the news.
This is the Hot Press.
So watching this series between the T-Wolves and the Lakers, I think this series is over. I know many people have talked a lot about, motivating the LA Lakers and LeBron and Luka and, the Luka trade. Oh, Nico Harrison's an idiot. All this other crap. But to kind of understand the Lakers situation, this seems a lot like a mismatch. And I'll explain why. The Lakers, since they got Luka, you have a hyper-aggressive scorer, okay, that only can give you like at least 35 plus points. Okay, but the question mark as a whole from your team on the floor defensively tends to cough up those points. Just go watch Jackson Hayes. Just go watch a lot of those youngsters out there on the defensive side. They are getting annihilated and destroyed within the perimeter. And part of that reason is because Minnesota knows exactly how to play physical ball. Okay, did you watch that Pistons-Knicks game? That was so physical. All it took was just one player literally just getting into his feelings. Seriously. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We are on the 300th episode, by the way, and I'll get to that celebration here in a bit. But I got to tell you, this Lakers series is so mismatched because the fact that Minnesota is doing everything right that most teams need to do. Is the only way to really truthfully beat the Lakers is you got to play physical. You got to be able to attack the perimeter. You got to be able to defend at the same time and eliminate a lot of those open looks. And that's exactly what's pissing off the Lakers right now. But a lot of that is because they're so small in size. They really are. I just think that because of where everything is right now for the Lakers, I said it before, long term, the Lakers will be fine. But what you're talking about right now, the Lakers are in trouble. And once again, are we going to have an out for LeBron James? Because truthfully, I'm not. I think LeBron at the same time, he's trying to do everything up on his own. The NBA clearly is so cling to LeBron because they're so scared to just watch him retire because they won't have anything else left. But look at Jason Tatum and look at Anthony Edwards. Not to mention you have a lot of international stars like Luka, Jokic, Giannis, Wemby. The international pool has taken over. And I think we all know that. Years ago, it never used to be like that. When you had Tony Kukoc, Vlade Divac, and multiple other players, you didn't have this big of a momentum shifter. But I think a lot of that, like we talked about, is all because look at the care of college basketball. That's part of the reason. Luckily, we got Cooper Flagg that we already know about because it goes to Duke. We know a lot of these players because they go to a lot of these big-time schools. We hardly know about some of these players when they come out of these small schools. It's no knock on them. But I really thought that if the Lakers, after they made that Luka trade, that I thought they would have gone out and got somebody like a Nikola Vucevic. They would have liked to have used it. He would have never had to play the full-time 5, but he could play the 4 and then occasionally go into the 5 if he needed to. Because then you got a big. You got somebody who's a very good distributor who can honestly pass the ball. And then at the same time gives you rebounds, gives you points, gives you what you'll need to sustain the series. But they didn't. And now you're leaving it up to a young youth in Jackson Hayes, who's clearly, he's getting all the experience in front of him, and he's getting demolished. And not to mention, you're not even seeing Dalton Connect literally play. And Austin Reeves up out there, as much as I do like his offense, he ain't being a pivotal factor in this series. So a lot of this is because Anthony Edwards, and here's the other thing, this is proof of it. When Anthony Edwards is unleashed, he's out of his cage. Everyone else follows. Naz Reid didn't even miss a basket. That's crucial. That's very crucial. And if the Lakers are not on top of it, they're going to struggle. And I feel like they can't get their act together. Minnesota is literally going to be stepping on their neck, and that's it. That's the end of the series. Okay, I hope everybody knows that I'm being metaphorical about that, but that's the end of the series. And that's where the Lakers, long-term, they'll be fine with Luka. But you have to address size, experience, and a lot of those things. That's what you had with Anthony Davis. Once he's gone away, forget about the injuries. You lost the size, you lost the defense, and that's exactly what you are basically a closest reincarnation to the Houston Rockets when they were small, when they had Robert Covington. Okay, and same when you had because you relied on James Harden being the over-the-top, hyper-aggressive scorer, and yet James Harden couldn't show up on some of those plays. Like, he couldn't show up in any of those games. And he struggled. And the closest thing, I mean, when you had Clint Capella in his prime, I mean, I thought they would have had a shot. I mean, they were close. If Chris Paul had not suffered the injury, it would have been a completely different story. But I just think the Lakers are all honestly in trouble. Not much really left to kind of to see with this series. But Minnesota, they're doing everything right. So take a short break here, and we'll be back to close this out here on the Snake Sports Talk Show.
Looking for a show with the best takes and opinions? Want a show with the best coverage around the world of sports? Jam-packed with an all-star interview lineup? Then the best place to find it all, sports and entertainment, is right here. Join Jake Silva on the Snake Sports Talk Show, presented by SeatGeek and BetUS. Weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on Sports Wave Network.
Listen up, sports fans. Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back for our 28th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite sports, including NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. We've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest new European slots, and our live dealers are waiting for you at the table. Sign up at BetUS.com today to get into the action. BetUS, where the game begins.
Snake Sports Talk Show is sponsored by Muscle Tech, with hundreds of supplements and vitamins to choose from, all packed with 100% all-natural proven ingredients. You can be sure that Muscle Tech will give you the edge and the boost to train and look like your fit and healthy best, whatever your goals are. Try Muscle Tech today and use promo code SNAKESPORTS to save 30% off your purchases.
Want to find your seat for the event of your choice but can't get one that fits your desire or your budget? Well, my friends, SeatGeek has you covered. SeatGeek is the official sponsor of the Snake Sports Talk Show. With a list of over hundreds of events to choose from, SeatGeek will assure you that you won't miss your seat with the amazing view of your choice at the most affordable price. Whether it's looking for your best seat in the house of your favorite sports team, finding live concerts to get you closer to your favorite artist, or enjoying your spot at your favorite live shows, comedies, and more, SeatGeek has it all just for you. Go online to SeatGeek.com or download the app on your mobile device through Google Play and the App Store. And as a special offer before checkout, use promo code SNAKESPORTS and save yourself $20 off of your purchase of your first ticket, and experience why SeatGeek is the most trusted ticketing app for your next event. Remember, that's SeatGeek.com, and download the app on your phone with promo code SNAKESPORTS for $20 off and find your seat with SeatGeek.
Back here on the Snake Sports Talk Show, as we're right here on the final 5 minutes, talking about the NFL draft, because a lot of these draft grades, it's kind of interesting to me. I will have my top 10 teams tomorrow. The other thing is that I have my top 10 draftees already. I just got to post them up on social media. But here's the deal. People that paid attention to the draft, it was the most roster constructed draft ever. So when I look at a lot of these grades, like I paid attention to San Francisco, and I thought they very much were really good on defensive hits. But when I looked at the offensive side of play, I mean, they got Curtis Rourke, the quarterback from Indiana, and they got a 7th-round guard. I wasn't sure exactly what they were doing. Now, again, part of this is because they're trying to open up the money to pay Purdy. But like I've told everybody, are you going to feel good about risking rolling the dice on someone like Brock Purdy? because I wouldn't. I'm not paying him 50 plus mil a year. I just won't do that. If I do that, I'm the Dallas Cowboys. And look at what the Cowboys did in the draft. They got Tyler Booker as their offensive lineman, and he is stoked. He is hyper, like he is hyped up. He's ready to play for the Cowboys. I would love to have a player like that on my roster. But they addressed the trenches, because I think a lot of that is because Jerry Jones, like he came out and said it before the draft, is as much as taking a running back in the first round sounds pretty sexy, but look at our offensive line. The offensive line was disastrous. And you knew that by the time that Travis Frederick and Zach Martin and Tyron Smith, they were all gone. They're all retired. And none of them even got a ring. So you knew that right off the bat. You know that this was going to end up coming to this. So when Jerry Jones put that out there, now you look at exactly what that look of the draft looked like. I thought the Cowboys had a very impressive draft. But San Francisco, if you thought losing this many players in the free agent market this offseason was bad, just go look at what next year will be. Because you're probably going to lose Kyle Juszczyk. Who knows on the status of George Kittle? And then at the same time, you got to pay Brock Purdy. So I don't like their situation, in my opinion. The Saints, I thought, had a very interesting draft. Didn't really attract me too much with New Orleans. But I hope it works with Kellen Moore and with the rest of them. I hope it works. I thought Calvin Banks was a great pick for them. But once you got like Tyler Shug and a couple others, who knows? Who knows what that will do for you? But I felt like Jacksonville with the trade, if they did not trade up the way that they did and giving up a first-round pick, I would have been fine with that. I mean, you could have honestly have handled with Travis Hunter, even if you just moved up a spot there at 3, I would be fine with that. But when you move up to 2 and you give up a first round next year to Cleveland, who now will have 2 first-round picks next year, that's kind of hard. And who knows with how Jacksonville will finish. That's the other problem. So I think as a new staff, that was very risky. But hopefully for Liam Cohen's sake, it all pans out in the end. But Pittsburgh, in my opinion, this is what's continuously validating this whole thing. Because if you watch New England's draft compared to Pittsburgh's draft and their free agency, I mean, I don't even know what the quarterback situation is going to look like. But they went and drafted Will Howard. I think he's a good quarterback, but I don't know if he'll be great. But the other thing is, it sounds to me all signs are Aaron Rodgers. That's what it sounds like to me with this Pittsburgh deal. I'm not particularly a big fan of it. I've said it multiple times, but Pittsburgh might find themselves out of the playoffs by 1 game. And I think New England, I could slide in there as a playoff team. The wild card is very competitive in the AFC. And if you don't have that right quarterback to distribute with both George Pickens and DK Metcalf, and you're questionable about your backfield, I know they got Caleb Johnson, but I mean, Jalen Warren, all that could be interesting. But I will say this though, quick few minutes. I did not expect Chicago to take a Colson Loveland. I was a little shocked at first, but then when I figured out about Ben Johnson's offense, I started to kind of pull it back a bit. And I said, okay. And then they go and get Luther Burden. So what this is telling you is with Chicago's deal, and remember, Ben Johnson, I think, was still around when DeAndre Swift was in Detroit. So there's familiarity already in the building. But in order to make Caleb Williams work, you had to beef up the O-line. You had to go and get more weapons. Now you got a dual tight end set. You got DJ Moore. You got Luther Burden. And you got Rumenunze. And you got an okay running back room that could potentially work. But I love your offensive front. And they're so known to be a very good defensive team that's only going to be better. And so I think Chicago is in the runnings of being much better improved in 2025. So you are seeing the identity of Ben Johnson. And that's what he's trying to tell you is I am trying to work up on this offense that I know that I had established when I was in Detroit. So having a dual tight end set of Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland, I think is very impressive. The other thing is that you got offensive weapons that is utilizing the disposal of Caleb Williams. Because in year 2, the question mark now becomes, is Caleb Williams the answer? That is what you are trying to figure out. And if he's not, then that's going to look bad on Caleb Williams. But this is why Ben Johnson was hired. This is why he was hired, is because you're trying to make Caleb Williams work. You've got to get him to work because the decision-making, holding on the ball for too long, trying to lean into the spectacular, that's not going to work, bro. Throw the ball out of bounds if you've got nobody open, because I would rather that than go and take a sack, and now the yardages is now pushed back and all the momentum is gone. So there's parts of that you got to fix up. But I think, truthfully, the AFC West, the Raiders, Broncos, Chargers, and the Chiefs all nailed their draft. All 4 of them nailed their draft. But it's because of experience. It's also because of smart people in the room. Brett Veach, Spidek, Joe Ortiz, and George Patton. And then you've got really good experienced coaches from Andy Reid, Jim Harbaugh, Sean Payton, and Pete Carroll. Smart teams tend to do smart moves. They're the ones that are patient. They're the ones that are not desperate. And they're not the ones that are going to push the panic button. They're very experienced, which is why I think that the AFC West should be regarded as the most experienced division in football. It is. And they've all got quarterbacks. And they've all got run games. They've all got defenses. It should be regarded that. But, yeah, I think the AFC West was very impressive. There were a lot of teams that were very impressive. I thought the Cardinals had a very good draft. I mean, the Cardinals landed Will Johnson. He's hurt, but here's the thing. They saw the potential. They know he's very good, and they took a gamble on it, and I think it's going to pan out for them. They also got a defensive front. They got many, many really good players. So, like I said, I think this is going to be interesting for some teams to really improve the rosters and improve the records from last year. So the top 10 teams is going to be very interesting tomorrow. But good stuff, guys. Good. Anyway, that's going to wrap up here up onto the show. We'll see you guys tomorrow night here on the next edition of the Snake Sports Talk Show. Take care of yourselves. Have a great rest of your Monday, and we'll see you guys back here up on the show on Monday. Take care, everyone.